All right, welcome back to another episode, ladies and gentlemen. And today we're going to try to answer the question if whether or not today, in this climate, in this market, whether or not it is beneficial to buy or rent in the Ottawa real estate market. So if you've ever contemplated this, you're not alone. And this decision can be very daunting, especially in this ever-changing market. But don't worry, I got you covered. And in today's video, we're diving deep into the latest market stats that'll help you make an informed choice. We're going to explore the pros and the cons of renting and buying, backed up by the most up-to-date data as of April 2024. What are the average home prices for detached homes, townhomes, and condos? And then on top of that, we're gonna layer the costs, the average cost of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom rentals. And finally, we'll just go over whether or not if today is the time to dive into the deep end and purchase that home that you've been looking for. So stay tuned, let's go. All right, let's dive right into it. What we're going to be discussing in this video is everything from detached homes, townhouses, and condos. And what we're not going to be talking about is land and or farmland. I'm not an expert in farmland. If you're interested in that, reach out to me. And of course, I'll put you in touch with somebody who knows a little bit more about it. I don't pretend to know anything about farmland, so no worries on that side. So I think for a bit of context, we also need to establish what the current market conditions are today. And at time of recording, which is May 2024, I'm using data as of April 2024. And as of April 2024, the average cost for a detached home in Ottawa is $785,750, which is a slight increase of 0.5% from last year. Townhouses, on average, are selling for $565,000, which is a slight decrease of 0.9% year over year. And finally, condos, on average, are selling for $407,444, marking a slight decrease of 0.4% from the previous year. Okay, so let's discuss the market demands. Detached homes remain the most sought after, driving up the prices due to their limited supply. Townhouses offer a middle ground, attracting both families and young professionals, and condos ideally are for those seeking affordability and convenience. Year-over-year changes. In the past year, detached home prices have seen a price increase of about 1.6%. And townhouses have seen a price decrease of 0.9%, and condos have seen a decrease of 0.4%. Okay, I'm going to dive into a spreadsheet in just 1 minute, but before we do that, we now got to look at down payments. And when you buy a home in Canada, you typically need to put down a down payment, which is a specific amount of the home's purchase price, which we all know. But if you could put down 20%, you're in a really good position. So for example, you're looking at a home at $700,000, you want to put 20% down, you're looking at a down payment of $140,000. Now this might seem like a hefty sum, but it comes with significant benefits. One of the major advantages of a 20% down payment is that you can avoid CMHC fees. CMHC fees stands for Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, and these fees are essentially a type of insurance. So here's the deal. If you put down less than 20%, your mortgage is considered high risk by the lenders. And to protect themselves, lenders require mortgage loan insurance, which is provided by CMHC. This insurance protects the lender in case you default on your loan. And it's important to note that while insurance protects the lender, the cost of the insurance is passed on, you guessed it, to you, the borrower, in the form of CMHC fees. And CMHC fees can add up quickly. They're calculated as a percentage of your mortgage amount, and the percentage increases as your down payment decreases. So for instance, if you put down, let's say 5%, you're a first-time home buyer, for example, the CMHC fees could be as high as 4% of the mortgage amount. So on a $700,000 home with a 5% down payment, you could be looking at CMHC fees upwards of $26,600. Now that's a significant amount that gets added to the overall mortgage cost. So putting down 20% not only lowers your overall mortgage amount, but you also completely avoid paying these additional fees, potentially saving you tens of thousands of dollars in the long run. And I don't know about you, but I don't like giving the banks any extra money than I don't have to do. So let's break down the math. I'm going to show you on my screen a spreadsheet. We'll walk through it just a little bit. We'll calculate the borrowing cost, where it stands today, and then we're also going to look at what the average rental cost is in comparison to those costs set out by the bank. So let me dive into my spreadsheet right now. All right, so what we're looking at now is a very simple spreadsheet. It took me 2 minutes to put this thing together. I just pulled information from the Royal Bank of Canada. I picked the Royal Bank because they're the #1 bank here in Canada with the largest market share. You shop this thing around, you can compare pricing, and if you don't want to shop it around, go to a mortgage broker who can do that for you. And if you don't have a mortgage broker, reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with a mortgage broker, because if they can save you half a point on some of these costs, it'll save you thousands of dollars down the line. So let's look at the spreadsheet. As we can see, we are breaking down detached homes, townhouses, and condos. And feel free to pause the video right here. Just take a couple of minutes to look at this. If you are to look at a detached home today, and again, I'm using April 2024 housing data and May banking information. So mortgage rates as of May, but housing data as of April. The average detached home in Ottawa is worth or sold for $785,750. Assuming you're in a good position and privileged enough to be able to put 20% down payment, that breaks out to $157,000. Which gives you a mortgage balance of $628,000, just north of $628,000. Now, the CMHC fees, because you put that 20% down, you're saving $31,430 over its lifetime on CMHC fees. So pretty significant if you can afford the $150,000. Now, the fixed rate at time of recording, again from the Royal Bank, on a 5-year fixed rate is 5.14%. and a variable rate of 6.79%, which is a backbreaker, and people are complaining about variable rates. In general, it is killing a lot of people. It is extremely high at this moment in time. But let's break that down. A fixed rate will cost you $3,678 versus a townhouse on average $2,646, and of course condos $1,908. Plus the condo fees, don't worry, or don't forget about the condo fees. So $1,908. Compare that to your variable rates. Like I said, it is significantly more, but this is where people hope that the Bank of Canada and the government and everybody else, we're gonna get the variable rates down so that it brings the average monthly cost down. That's a question that we have to ask. No one can predict the future. Everybody thinks or assumes the mortgage rates are gonna drop later this year. I personally believe that they will, but pretty significant nonetheless. Now, what I wanted to compare was, okay, now there's the cost for borrowing the money. What's the average rental cost? Average rental cost in Ottawa for a 1-bedroom is $1,982. A 2-bedroom is $2,488. And lastly, a 3-bedroom rental is $2,756. Now, what it doesn't say is 3 bedrooms, if it's a detached or if it's a townhouse. A lot of townhouses with 3 bedrooms. That we don't know, but I just lined it up to kind of give you side by side with what I think is comparable. So a 3-bedroom compares to a detached, a 2-bedroom compares to the townhouse, let's say, and a 1-bedroom comparing to a condo. But nonetheless, 3 bedrooms, $2,756 versus at best, $3,678. Now, on top of that, we have pros and cons on both sides. So let's just dive into it. When you are buying your home, you are, everybody knows this, building equity on your house. And I'll get to that in just a second. That is your #1 pro. That's why people are buying. You hear the argument all the time that people can barely afford rent. And then when you do, you feel like you're throwing money out the window because you're never going to see a dollar grown or dollar earned on a dollar spent. So by purchasing your home, you're building equity over time. You fast forward with a little bit of delayed gratification, 10, 15, and 20 years, and then that equity will come back to you, which will be added to your net worth in hopefully retirement or down the road as you upgrade to a new house. So building equity, pro #1 on why most people are contemplating purchasing a home. The second pro purchasing is the stability, and I reference stability as you know what the cost of doing business is. You know you're locked in on a 5-year fixed or you're locked in on a 5-year variable rate. That's nice and stable. It's pretty predictable. Nothing changes from that particular term or period. And then customization is another benefit. Everybody talks about this. It's your house. You do what the hell you want with it. You feel like painting it, go for it, paint it. You feel like digging a hole in the backyard, go for it if that's what you want to do. You don't have to ask permission. It is a huge, huge, huge benefit from a lifestyle perspective on purchasing, and everybody knows that. Now, the cons on purchasing obviously is that there are higher upfront costs. We just went through that. You're paying $36.78 plus property taxes, insurance, maintenance, which is going to be putting you in another snack bracket even higher than that, versus renting, which on paper seems like you're saving $1,000 a month. Now there's that. And then the con side is you might be a renovation junkie. You might enjoy it. All that might be good, or you might not like it at all because you're not handy and you don't like those late night phone calls. So maintenance can be considered a con because it is your responsibility as a homeowner to make sure that it is fixed properly and so on. You can't pass it on to anybody else. You own it. It is your responsibility. And then the third con on purchasing a home is you're at the risk of the market. And we've all seen that in the last 4 years, particularly through COVID. We went up, 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 and down, down, down. And now we're creeping our way back up again. So it is a little bit unstable. It is unpredictable for sure. No one can predict the future. Everybody assumes rates are going to go down later in 2024. I personally believe that they will, but there's market risks that go along with it. So should something happen in the world, politics and wars and everything else, it might stall interest rates going down for any particular reason. Now, renting is basically the opposite from a pros and cons perspective. The renting, you have more flexibility because you're paying less money, so you have more flexibility to do other things. You have lower costs up front, and of course you have less maintenance because you're picking up the phone, something's happening, and somebody else is going to take care of it for you. The downside is you're not building any equity, and I can't state this enough. You're not building enough equity, which means that when you are renting, you're paying a pretty significant amount. You're not getting anything for it. You better be making sure that you're putting money in the bank from an investment perspective for retirement or for savings down the road, for RESPs and so on, because it's not going to be captured in the equity build when you would have that if you were purchasing. That's really con number one. It's the ultimate con from a rental perspective. Also, the con is there's rent increases when you're renting and you have no control over that. Remember, if you are purchasing, you are locking in on a 5-year term. In this case, you're going to see price increases year over year from a rental side. So that's not any fun. It's just going to cost you more and more, and you're not getting anything out of it. And then, of course, the lack of customization. Again, you feel like fixing something, feel like you're getting tired of the colors and so on. You're probably going to have to ask for permission, even for the slightest little thing. So that may or may not be an issue for you. For me personally, it's kind of a drag that you have to ask for permission to do the smallest things. But that is the world we live in from a rental versus a purchasing perspective. Now, the last thing I want to show you is we're talking about the equity build. And I found this stat on the internet. So again, you want to validate this with your financial advisor. But the average person's net worth in Ontario is $434,000. Again, it's the average. So I'd be curious to slice and dice this in a little bit more detail, but I just took the average. Out of that $434,000, $260,000 of that money came from real estate holdings. So 60% of the average net worth from the average person in Ontario comes from real estate. So that's really what you have to determine, renting versus buying. What's the cost of doing business today versus the cost of doing business, or the time value of money today versus the time value of money tomorrow? That's the biggest difference, to the tune of $260,000 spread over time.
If you feel like you can lock in on a neighborhood, you locked in on a really good price, you locked in on really good circumstances, everything fell through for you, and you magically hit it out of the ballpark, you can get a lot of equity, which is great. If not, obviously the choice is on the other side. Save some money on a monthly, put it towards lifestyle, make sure that you're parking some money for investments. That's the alternative.
All right, I think we're going to wrap up the video here. Thank you very much for staying with me until the end. I hope that you found this deep dive into renting versus buying in Ottawa as insightful and as informative as I did. We've covered a lot of ground today, from understanding the current market trends for detached homes, townhouses, and condos, to dissecting the intricacies of down payments and CMHC fees. We've even navigated through the rental landscape, comparing the prices and exploring the pros and cons of each option. Remember, the decision to rent or buy is highly personal and depends on your unique financial situation, lifestyle, and long-term goals. Whether you're looking to build equity through homeownership or prefer the flexibility of renting, Ottawa's dynamic real estate market has something to offer everyone. If you're leaning towards buying, keep in mind the significant benefits of a 20% down payment, which can help avoid CMHC fees and save thousands of dollars along the way. And for those considering renting, understanding the average rental prices for 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units can help budget effectively. And let's not forget the broader financial picture. With the average net worth in Ontario being heavily influenced by real estate, your home isn't just a place to live, it's a major component in your financial health. So no matter what your next move is, whether you are buying or renting, a realtor can help you. We can help you find a rental just like we can help you purchase and sell your home. So be confident, reach out to me. I'll put you in touch with somebody who can help you on the rental side, and I can put you in touch with somebody if you're looking for anything outside of, like I said, the detached townhomes or condos itself. Otherwise, reach out to me specifically and I'll help you along the way. I say it all the time. Go to my website at markbelangerrealty.com. Schedule a 30-minute consultation with me. Let's get to know each other a little bit. Let's go tour some neighborhoods together. Let's make this house hunting expedition worth your while, and let's evolve to the next step in financial freedom. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until the next video, take care.